so that they know you came from this channel. Thanks to Dragon City for supporting us. Now let's get back to the video.
I think I restarted the stream in the middle of the sponsor, but
who chose never to
yeah, it took so long just because of one reason. The fan, I mean,
that didn't stop them from
not the ceiling one, but the standing one, like the table.
And so eventually, in 2017, Troom struck gold when they figured out that they didn't need to produce accurate crafts videos, but instead looking into absurd concepts and exaggerated thumbnails filled with bright colors and nonsensical photoshopping. They also introduced a female narrator whose voice became increasingly high-pitched and annoying as time went on, going from this
Today we are going to learn how to make an easy pumpkin Halloween decorating without carving
to this.
These desks are so boring. I love college. Let's get started. It's lunchtime.
Creators to run a channel. Ironically, known by looking at the video with their eyes. All of this provided endless opportunities for content creators to roast Troom, some even dedicating entire channels to simply commenting absurd hacks and pranks uploaded by the Ukrainian channel. Ironically, Troom seemed to appreciate this and even leaned into the critical videos made on them. And for a while, this seemed to foster an endless loop of content creation and attracting watch time for both sides. Troom was getting more popular through the exposure they got, and YouTubers were more or less guaranteed to get views by talking about it. But eventually, the channel started to lose steam, whether that had to do with times changing and new trends replacing what had made them successful, or people simply got used to the same formula that Troom was always employing for their content. It's at this point unclear. Regardless, their monthly view count went from 400 million views in August of 2020 down to around 50 million views over the course of several months. But if you thought the creators of Troom would simply lay down their weapons and surrender, you were mistaken. Because by browsing the latest videos uploaded to their channel, it looks like they've been pushing a particular type of content over and over and over and over again. And I believe it's worth taking a look.
This is only the chapter 1, which is actually not that bad, but oh god damn, we come to chapter 3 then. I probably won't be alive anymore. Oh my god.
Perfect example, telling the story of two identical boys, one who is poor, the other who is a fictional version of Edward VI of England. They somehow stumble upon each other and decide to switch places, the poor kid becoming prince and the prince taking on the life of a regular child. George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion is also a good example, where a phonetics professor named Henry Higgins picks up a common flower girl named Eliza and begins an experiment with the goal of getting her to pass as a duchess among the high society. Even in recent media, movies like The Princess Diaries, Pretty Woman, or Trading Places all convey similar plots. So it must have been obvious to the Troom guys that there's something to this formula, that there is a timeless demand out there for such stories, and so they started supplying the content with adaptations the idea in their own style. The result, however, was not quite on par with their predecessors.
No, that was yeah, in 2021.
But the rich couple doesn't have kids.
Okay, that's a fairly straightforward premise. Let's see what they do with it.
Look, it's a stork.
He's carrying something.
What a stroke of luck.
We will have a baby. Open it up.
Is it money? But we don't need them.
Why was the stork carrying money in the first place? It probably got back to its drug trafficking boss, and they were like, okay, stork, I'm running out of patience here. What did you do with my money? Let's just say that stork was probably never seen again, or at least not without a few toes missing.
Not all dreams come true.
Honey, let's adopt a baby.
Great idea.
Wait, you...
Oh my god. What damnation! Obviously this what a damnation is said mostly by the last kid who is completely insane. Like I never seen I've never seen the more insane man than Let's Game without the Josh. Although he wasn't so insane always, like it was I think in 2020 or 2019 or something like that. Anyways, that doesn't really matter. Hey, door.
You never thought of that before? You needed a frickin' stork to drop off a bag of money into your lap to come up with the idea of adopting?
I'm the head of this place. What brings you by? We want to adopt. That
This is all narrated. A lot worse than I've ever seen, like. Yeah. There are just actually 4 blocks. Actually 4.
That's wonderful. I have someone in mind for you. Mia, come here. What? Who are these clowns? Mia, go home with your new parents. Your things are packed. No, wait. You made my dreams come true.
Wait, that's all it takes to adopt a kid? You just go to some dude's office and he just gives you a random kid, bags packed and everything. So they take her home, they give her a makeover, discount Meryl Streep offers her expertise in finding out the right look for the girl. In exchange for an unspecified handful of cash, they take Mia to the mall, you know, as billionaires do.
Everybody knows how to have fun. Looks like Mia's parents got so carried away, they forgot about their daughter. Let's try something else. Hello. I was wondering, how's Mia doing?
Doesn't this guy have an orphanage to run? How is he on call 24/7 for this one family? Anyway, they realize they lost their newly adopted daughter. They freak out for a few minutes, and then they bump into the orphanage dude, who I can only guess teleported to their location despite them never actually telling him where they were. And it all ends on a positive note.
My baby. We were so worried. I'm disappointed in you. The family is together again.
And then they go home and make snow angels on a pile of cash and throw money in the air, and everyone is happy. The end. And then there's this other...
What a tarnation that, what a tarnation was that? Oh, God. Just.
Other one where we can only assume the orphanage guy grew older by the looks of his totally natural white hair, and he's become so obsessed with boats that he shouts at his daughter when she breaks his latest construction.
He always thinks about his boats. I've had enough. I'm leaving. There may be a misunderstanding in every family. Well, let's see what the offended daughter's decision is going to lead to.
I mean, I get the whole running away from home thing, but who writes adopt me on a giant piece of cardboard? Some rich rapper drives by, not even holding the steering wheel, by the way.
I was a very poor boy. Lived on the streets of Troom City, but became popular once. Now I'm rich and I'm witty.
I can actually feel my IQ dropping with each passing second.
I think my IQ is now already like negative 600.
Watching this video. Anyway, he has this flashback of how he used to be homeless until, you'll never guess it, he finds a microphone in the trash, and with that, he becomes a famous rapper. I simply cannot.
Do not be so sad. I'll be your dad. What do you think?
Why? Just why? obviously I have to furnish all of this house later.
I'm all for that. Well then, let's go.
That's it. That's how you adopt someone in Troom City, apparently. From there, it's just the same story. It literally checks off the exact same succession of events. The makeover, the rich lifestyle, everyone is happy with their new life. But then, plot twist, her dad shows up.
What do you want from me? Dad? Daughter, forgive me. I am so sorry. Come back home, my dear. Cindy needs to make an ex kind to me.
Together in the rich family. You should go with the rich persons. I'm just scrolling through the first few comments and I'm baffled at how gullible these kids are. And you can tell they identify with the main character. They think she's a real person. That's the genius and the worrisome thing about these videos, is that they speak to a dormant idea inside every kid's brain that the only way to happiness is if some rich family adopted them. And these are just 2 videos that I picked at random, by the way. There is an entire machinery pumping out the same story over and over again, only with slight changes virtually every single day. On one hand, I can't help but respect the grind, but on the other hand, it doesn't seem healthy to push this type of content and this message to naive kids who can't discern the good from the bad. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. And speaking of rich people, if you don't know what to watch next, check out this recent video that I made about the whole controversy surrounding how much Twitch streamers are earning. In my opinion, the backlash against them is complete nonsense. Remember to click the link in the description to download Dragon City on your phone and start playing today. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
I'm now actually asking myself why. Obviously I can leave one of Rico because it's pretty much the same as the other channels, so Okay, now let's continue to the why story animated and actually happened channels.
Build your brand online with a beautiful logo. Just go to Wix Logo Maker.
My mom and screamed, "We are rich! We are rich!" I was so excited I couldn't.
I already warned you that this is going to be insane video, so yeah.
Bring out the trash. Okay, we have a lot to unpack here. But first, we have to talk a bit about the history of animation on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm has always been a complete mystery to all of us. As someone who makes animation myself, I've seen it change throughout the years from promoting animated videos for their high production entertainment value to completely burying them under piles of vlogs and pranks and let's just say easily churned out content. There was a time in 2014 when animators were wondering whether they even had a future on the platform at all because of this.
It's kind of too hard to work on now for animators. You'll be seeing less, like, you know, crazy animated
a
stuff.
number of factors. One is frequency of upload, the other is length of video.
Frequent uploads for an independent animation channel are incredibly unreasonable requirement.
That's because YouTube has very recently changed their payment format from a per-view monetization system into a watch time monetization system.
And then something happened around 2016 when all of a sudden animation started being pushed a lot more. Nobody knows why, how, or what happened, but with a proverbial push of the button, the algorithm started favoring animation.
And also that is the time when this whole crap started being recommended to all of us.
Animated subgenres, storytime animation in particular benefited the most.
I've never owned a pet until last year when I got college.
A couple months ago, I went to visit the college campus that I planned
I watched her.
attending. That's when I decided I'd like to play skateboarding.
You know, I never really understood trigger words
Don't. So that's probably the most interesting YouTuber I've ever seen because it's pretty much just a big marshmallow.
Now this is all charming and wonderful, except as is the case with everything, there was a flip side to this coin. You see, whenever something thrives, copycats, wannabes, and ridiculously low production clones pollute the medium. And I'm not even talking about Fox Goodman here, who is a notorious tracer. I'm talking about entire channels that upload made-up storytime videos with ridiculous plots, like Share My Story with almost 2 million subscribers, My Story Animated with 2.3 million, actually happened with... Which is it?
Why? I'd actually beat all of these channels to death if I had a sort of like actually they do not deserve it to be on YouTube.
In all caps, by the way, so it must have actually happened, right? This one has 3.7 million subscribers, and these channels are getting hundreds of millions of views every month. The upload frequency is insane. A regular animator takes about a month to finish a video. This channel uploads an animated video literally every single day. It's over. The machines have already won. There's an entire subgenre of videos all titled I Became a Millionaire at Age Blank. It's always a very young age, like 17 or 15, and it always follows the exact same pattern. Like this one, for example. The thumbnail alone is straight out of a fever dream. Let's take a look.
I grew up in an average family. Me, Mom, Dad, and two of my siblings weren't remarkable in any way, but we were still happy and got along with each other. That is, until my father died.
Okay, what? We're not even 10 seconds in. So wait, he got shot and then his arms fell off? The mother doesn't give a shit, apparently. She just washes the dishes with a smile on her face while one of her kids turns into Spider-Man.
I can only imagine how horrified my mother was. 3 kids, no work experience, no degree, and no one to help her out. All of my grandparents died long ago. She didn't give up though.
Okay, so she applies for a job, and the boss, who we know is the boss because of this huge sign behind him that says boss, takes her resume in his gigantic hand, hugs it, and then throws it in the garbage. You know, as every employer does when you apply for a job. Some assistant walks in, excuse me, Mr. Boss, you have an important conference call on line 2. He's like, can't you see I'm busy here? I've got all these resumes to throw in the garbage.
The people from the utility services cut the heating to our apartment. The weather was frigid, but the winter had barely begun.
So this guy is coming to their house to cut the heating with a giant pair of scissors. And what's even more frustrating is that he doesn't even use it. He just puts his hand on the installation, and with his utility man powers, he stops the heating. Why are you holding scissors at all?
I skipped school since helping my mother was more important. After standing behind the counter and bitter cold, I got pneumonia. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. The important thing was discovering a head and neck for trade.
I'm sorry, what? She got pneumonia, or as she calls it,
pneumonia.
But apparently it was worth it because she discovered she's good at selling things. This story is so fake, I can't. When you have pneumonia, you don't just cough a few times.
I don't know how many dramas were there ever made actually.
In between selling jugs of gasoline or whatever she's selling here, you get fever, sweating, and shaking, chills, stabbing, chest pain, nausea, and vomiting, especially in small children, which this person supposedly is. Look, I'm gonna spare you the rest of the video. The story goes, she makes some money from selling all of this crap. She opens a gym, becomes very successful, and then she and her family live happily ever after.
Today, I am 19. I own the best fitness center in our town and several sports nutrition stores. My dream has come true. My mom is an amateur florist. We sold our old flat and used the money I made to buy a small house with a huge backyard. My brother's studying a good school, and soon they will apply for prestigious colleges.
You would think that with all that money, she would probably buy her twin brothers separate books to read from. But I guess f them, right? I got pneumonia trying to buy us a house, okay? The least you can do is buy your own goddamn books. And finally, the video ends with an inspirational message that you too can chase your dreams and get your very own sign that says boss on it. Still not big as the other guy though, just saying. Now, you might be thinking, Andre, come on, what if it's a real story? Aren't you being a bit harsh? And if that's the case, I'm guessing the following video is real as well?
Well, today I'm 19 years old and I now own the best fitness center in town and 2 nutrition stores. I bought a big house for my...
Pretty much the same.
There's a large yard in the back.
To be
My
honest,
mother is a gardener.
It's the same story. It's the same goddamn story. I can't. And then there's this obnoxious kid with another totally real millionaire story.
I was always told I was pretty smart. I guess it must be because I got into programming at a really young age. But I don't like bragging. I don't like bragging.
It's like they're not even trying. Why would you make your main character so unlikable? Why? Aside from the terrible animation that's probably outsourced from websites like Fiverr, all of these stories follow the exact same beats. There is a kid coming from a poor family in some nondescript country. They're mysteriously smarter than everyone else. They start a business, they become wildly successful really fast, because apparently being a teenager and starting a business cancels out all the grown-up competition out there, who, you know, is supposed to have more experience and resources. But whatever, somehow the kid beats all the competition. They make $1 million exactly on the dot, like they actually get a check for $1 million, because otherwise the title of the video wouldn't make sense, you know? And then finally, they give the money back to the parents who supported their dreams all along, because we need a wholesome moral of the story to make the video more shareable. Now, you may be wondering, how come channels like these are allowed to just put up these clearly made up or exaggerated stories and churn them out every single day. It's repetitive content, it's inauthentic, it barely abides by YouTube's policies, it's right at the cusp, it's 1 millimeter outside of what would technically break the repetitious content policy. And the way they get away with this is by pretending to crowdsource these stories. All of these channels claim to take stories from their audience. Do you have any exciting real-life stories that you would like to share? Send your short story to our email address.
There are literally like 400,000 red flags here. I'm literally losing patience.
First of all, that sounds like a bunch of aliens got together and brainstormed how to write that one paragraph. And second of all, how many millionaires do you have in your audience? How many millionaires take time out of their business to send in their life stories to these random ass channels? You know what we should do, Wilfer? We should start our own storytime channel and start churning out these made up stories ourselves. Let's see. I became a millionaire at age 5. No, scratch that. 3. Try to top that. Parentheses OM upload. I was born a homeless boy. My parents could not afford me, so they put me in a basket and let me go on a river. A family of geese discovered me and took care of me. I became one of them. But I was smarter than them. I don't mean to brag. I taught the geese how to do mathematics. In return, they gave me feathers for the math lessons. A farm nearby discovered my big brain, and they wanted to buy all my feathers. They gave me a check for $1 million. It was amazing. I used half of it to buy a giant boss sign, and the second half I gave to my goose parents for supporting my dream. But unfortunately, they ate all the dollar bills because they don't have the concept of money. Millions of views, here we come. Now, to switch topics a little bit, I wanted to give you guys a little update. As you may have noticed, I've been missing for a while, and the main thing that happened in the meantime is this channel has won a Streamy Award for Best Animated Content in 2019.
And the Streamy goes to... Turbea? Andre Turbea. Thank you.
I'm grateful to everyone who voted for me to get nominated over the last summer. But while all of this is exciting and great, I feel like now more than ever it's time to get back to work and focus on making the content that I'm proud of and that you guys have gotten to appreciate. 2019 was a great year for this channel, but we still have a lot of work ahead of us in 2020. And with your support, I'm going to continue on this amazing journey. Thank you for being part of it. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
So it's basically 2 bathroom, 1 bathroom house. A small house, yeah. So if I add my own commentary on this, then I would say, why am I still even allowed to be alive? Like technically everyone is allowed to be alive, and let's break every single rule in the country, in the world. Now I think that if we go on the family channels now.
Family vlogs have been a thing as far back as YouTube itself has existed. The idea of family vlogging sounds good in theory, right? It's good-natured, friendly content that can be watched by kids and parents alike. The sort of content that you keep up with over a long period of time, connecting to the family as if they were your neighbors or your friends. But oftentimes, well-intended theories have a funny habit of losing their way when put into practice. I'm not going to hide the fact that I have a bias in this case, and it will probably show as the video progresses. In fact, it probably shows in the title. I don't like family channels. Granted, I'm not exactly their target demographic, but there's something about this type of content that has always rubbed me the wrong way. I will say this though, I am aware that there's certain aspects of parenthood that I can't relate to at this stage of my life because I don't have kids, although having Wilfer is sometimes not that far off. Damn it, Wilfer, get down from there. But what I can relate to is having a YouTube channel and everything that comes with. And when I see family channels and the sneaky little tricks that they pull, all the way up to the full-blown scandals they more and more often find themselves in, I feel like I should voice my perspective on it. So today we're taking a look at family vlogging channels, the problematic nature of the concept, and all the relevant instances when exploiting children has been in full swing. Just want to take a quick moment before we jump into things to thank our sponsor for today, XP Pen, but we're going to talk about it a little more towards the end of the video. I read an interesting article recently on the psychology of social media, which I will link below if you're interested in checking it out. It was talking about how researchers found insecurity to be the main driving force behind posting on social media. Shocking, right? Noting that sharing the good bits of their life often gives individuals an increase in self-esteem, but a decrease in self-control. And obvious as that may be to anybody with a little bit of self-awareness, it's a trap that everybody can.
Grammarly makes communication at work.
All fine and dandy when all you're posting is what you're eating and how hard you've been working out, but when your content is based around your children, things can very quickly take an unpleasant turn. And to make a point here, we're gonna go into story time mode really quick. So gather around, kids. We're talking about moms being predatory with their kids without even realizing it. So a few years ago, I was browsing Facebook, back when that was still a thing that people under 40 years old did, and I saw an old classmate of mine from middle school.
Okay, so I guess that Facebook isn't that popular anymore in Europe.
Who had recently given birth to a baby boy, and she was posting a picture of her kid completely naked with a caption saying something like, "I don't understand why everyone has a problem with my child. I don't care how many times you're reporting this picture, I will continue to repost it because I'm proud of my child and you cannot take that away from me." And I remember thinking, lady, people are reporting the picture to protect your child from online creeps, because in your delusion and chase for validation, you are endangering someone you are supposed to be protecting. You see, in this world of oversharing, I think for some mothers in particular, getting the endorphins from those likes and social engagement is directly incompatible with the responsibility to shield their child from harm. This is something that's not being talked about enough, in my opinion. Not only do parents/older people generally not have a good grasp on how the internet itself works, but they are oftentimes oblivious to the dangers of sharing private and embarrassing information about their kids when they are too young to be able to even consent to it. And so far, we're talking about just posting to a bunch of Facebook friends. Imagine how much more perverse the dynamic becomes when sharing your children's information online becomes profitable. Now, there's a family channel that has popped on my radar called The Norris Nuts. Brooke and Justin are the parents, and they currently have 6 children, ranging from 15 years old down to 6 months old. And this channel has a concerning amount of videos revolving around the mother trying to have more children, with titles like, "Are we having another baby? Exciting announcement, trying to have a baby update. The baby needs to come out due to pregnancy complications. Are the kids ready to deliver the baby? We've had some bad news about mama's pregnancy. Pregnancy complication for our baby," and it goes on and on and on. And if you look at some of these videos with a critical mind, you can't escape the question, how much of this comes from a genuine place and how much of it is straight up crossing the line? Because she's turning the entire process into a weird, messed up kids show.
If you catch this ball, it means I'm pregnant. If you miss it, it means I'm not pregnant.
From fertilization to talking about it with the children, trips to the doctor, to straight up documenting her miscarriage.
I was going to tell you that I'm bleeding and I'm not pregnant. Oh my God. Is that your fault? It's not your fault.
Now, I've blurred out the kids' faces because I want no part in further exposing them to the public, but I think there needs to be some attention drawn to this channel and channels like this that have made a profitable business from using their kids in a way that would make any rational person feel uncomfortable. And to make one thing very clear, I do think that sometimes it's important to share certain details about the challenges of a pregnancy, or perhaps how to deal with the psychological effects of a miscarriage. These are medical realities that other women in similar circumstances might find solace in. But where I think Brooke Norris crosses a line is the way she involves her kids in the process. I mean, for Christ's sake, she's filming her 10-year-old son as he bursts into tears thinking it was his fault that she lost the pregnancy. The video has since been taken down, but it had millions of views and it was monetized. And I know at this point there may be hardcore fans of their channel arguing that the kids want to be part of this. You may say they're just concerned because they love their mother. And in most cases, they're excited to film videos for the channel. So if the kids are having fun making these YouTube videos, what's the harm in that? Well, to answer the question, we have to get one thing clear right away. What a child likes, or what they think they like, is based on an immature understanding with a brain that has not yet fully developed. That's why legally, the parent is responsible for every major decision in a child's life until they've reached the age of 18. They alone are responsible to choose what's right for the kids. But when the parent finds purpose and profit in the image of the children, what's right for the kids gets muddled by what's right for the business, and that is a dangerous territory. Return on investment, or ROI. It's a term used in business to determine whether an investment generates enough revenue to turn a profit. For example, if you have a golden goose and you make a living off selling its golden eggs, as long as what you're feeding the goose, putting the roof over its head, and keeping it happy so that it lays more eggs, as long as all of those expenses add up to less than what you're earning per golden egg, the whole operation is ROI positive. But if the goose bites you, if it only lays eggs when it feels like it, or in other words, if the goose is named Wilfer, who I don't even know, do you even lay eggs? Because you're like a boy goose. Well, if that's the case, then the whole thing is ROI negative for you, and you should probably start looking into getting a regular job. With that in mind, let's talk about Micah Stouffer. Some of you may have already heard about her because she was recently involved in a very public scandal. Micah, along with her husband James, are the parents of 3 children, and you guessed it, they have a family vlogging channel. The Stouffers adopted an autistic boy from China in 2017, and because of the novelty factor of having an adopted Chinese boy with special needs, their channel skyrocketed.
I have so many viewers that found me through my adoption journey, and they are here to kind of live through those adoption updates and kind of see how he's doing and watch him progress. If you are one of those people that are here for that, give this video a thumbs up.
Well, apparently 2 years after the adoption, with the boy being prominently featured on their YouTube and Instagram, bringing in a lot of revenue for them, the Stouffers all of a sudden decided in 2019 to return the boy. This, of course, blew up in their face. They're currently losing a lot of subscribers and getting a lot of backlash. In my opinion, rightfully so. Because the problem here isn't that a family has returned an adopted child that they weren't qualified to raise. That apparently happens 1 to 5% of all adoption cases, but it usually happens within a relatively short time frame. The Stouffers channel benefited immensely from keeping the adopted boy for 2 years before sending him back, making it more difficult for him to fit in with a new family because he is now older. The overall public impression right now is that Micah Stouffer would not have adopted the boy if she didn't expect in some way to enrich her brand. And I kind of get the same feeling watching her videos. By all accounts, it looks like the adoption was a calculated move that had to be reverted when it stopped being ROI. Ugly. 8 Passengers is another case of a couple of vlogging parents mistreating their children multiple times. Like in many other similar cases, the mother, Ruby, runs the channel, and it looks like the overarching theme of her videos is the strict discipline measures she imposes on her 6 children. A lot of the videos on the channel are now deleted, but in many cases you could hear the kids tell their mother they don't want to be on camera. They also often joke about how many lashes they deserve for various actions.
So, what do you think is a reasonable outcome?
50 lashes. She stands on the ottoman, we all throw rotten tomatoes at her. And then we put her in that thing where her neck and her hands are like locked and everything like that.
Okay. If I tell you a quick description of that, then I'll tell you honestly that she smiles. No, seriously, she is smiling.
So distracting.
In order to fix the behavior,
She's smiling. Actually, that. How can this be that bad?
of her oldest son, Ruby and her husband decided to send him away to live for months at a place called Anasazi Camp. Now, I've looked into this place, and they claim to be a troubled teens wilderness treatment center, where teenagers discover a profound sense of self-worth and responsibility for the choices that govern the course of their lives. And they do that, among other things, by allegedly having the kids wipe their butts with rocks.
What?
We're told setting bear traps is the language we're going to use for, instead of toilet paper. And so I told Kevin this is a terrible wiping rock.
That would be terrible.
That would be terrible. But this one is smooth. I think that would work.
And here's the mind-boggling thing. Multiple kids have died at these types of wilderness camps due to barbaric punishment by the camp instructors. There's articles about this online, and I'm gonna link some below if you're interested to find out more. Ruby came under fire when the oldest son openly talked in a vlog about how he hadn't been sleeping on a bed for 7 months.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months and give it back like
She smiles. Literally, she is smiling like if she wanted to say, that's not my fault. No, literally, like.
weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that. Sleeping on a beanbag.
I was sleeping on a beanbag in October. My room back like 2 weeks ago.
This sparked outrage in the comments and has put a spotlight on Ruby and her excessive discipline methods. And I think what we see here is how, as years go by and the kids in the vlogs grow up to be teenagers, they start to realize the messed up dynamic of being used for entertainment. I think there's an expiration date on any family channel. When we see this pattern of kids starting to rebel and not want to be a character in their parents' reality show anymore, that should, in my opinion, be an indicator of the almost abusive nature of family vlogging.
Not almost abusive, but abusive. We have like 8
I think
letters of each, like B, 8 B's, 8 U's, and 8 T's.
When children become a business, the parent's predominant role is no longer that of a guardian. The child is now an asset for the parent. And it goes back to that study I mentioned early on in the video, that increase in self-esteem and decrease in self-control, which gets pushed even more off balance when large amounts of money get thrown in the equation. Now, are there family channels that manage to keep a relatively balanced dynamic? Yeah, I'm sure there are. In fact, most family channels probably start off with good intentions, but it's the high probability of the parents' morals getting skewed as time progresses and the channel gets bigger that puts the entire genre in a dangerous zone. And for that reason, I strongly believe there should be regulation and guidelines in place when it comes to online content involving children. Whether the mother is trading in the child's privacy for a dozen likes on Facebook, or she creates a disturbing storyline of doctor visits and bad news monetizing her children's reactions. Whether we're talking about a mother adopting a child for financial gain and discarding him when he becomes as an inconvenience, or a mother using inhumane treatments and shoving a camera into kids' faces despite visible discomfort. In all of these examples, one connecting thread is the replacement of parenting with self-serving irresponsibility. And that is why, in my opinion, family channels should not exist. Now, this is obviously a topic that's much larger than what I could sum up in one video, so please let me know your opinions in great detail, because this is a topic that I think can spark a lot of debate, and I'm interested in reading all of the well-argumented comments down below. Now, on a lighter note, I want to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, the XP Pen Artist Display 24 Pro tablet. I've used XP Pen tablets in the past, and I have to say, they're up there.
I'm not visiting it because that I probably did in the middle of the week.
You would think by now people would have caught on to the fact that family content is a shady business. After every Daddy-O5 scandal, Ace family controversy, the Stouffer rehoming incident, and everything else we've already talked about on this channel before, you would think that family content would cease to be a lucrative business model for horrible parents profiting off of their kids. But nope, here we are again, talking about another one. And a fair warning here, this will probably make you angry, even if you've got a heart of stone. Like, legitimately, you were diagnosed with a heart of literal stone inside of your chest. It's enough to hear about, let alone watch the clip of the clickbait crying mom to be like, oh, hell nah, bro. This person does not deserve the privilege of being a parent. But it's not just about the actions of one individual. This is a much larger problem, and I feel like it's necessary to take every opportunity available to make this case. Far too often, people gather into a mob and proceed to chase some mommy vlogger off the face of the internet, dusting off their palms in satisfaction, while the very conditions that enable the root of the problem continue to fester under the surface. We're going to talk about all of this in today's video, but before we get into it, I want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Genshin Impact. A lot of you probably know about this game already, but in case you don't, Genshin Impact is an open-world action RPG that's available on PC, Android, iOS, and PlayStation. That's
Didn't know that it's available on Android. I can play it on my phone. Bro. What try to make? Oh wait, I forgot that my phone is empty. That's literally like 0%.
PS4 and PS5, by the way. What I really like about the game is how amazing the animation is. And as an animator myself, that's a make or break factor for me. The colors are just gorgeous. The anime style works really well with the storyline and the gameplay. And you could probably spend hours upon hours upon hours just gliding around, swimming, climbing mountains, or just staring at the jaw-dropping landscapes. And with the new version they've just released, you can now farm and fish. If you're a fishing enthusiast, then this update is for you. It's so immersive, you're gonna love it. They now have new characters, new missions and challenges, new bosses, and a whole lot of reasons to go on new adventures in the mesmerizing world of Teyvat. And the fact that Genshin Impact is free to play is mind-boggling to me. So use my link in the description below to get it on any of your devices and start your adventure today. Thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring us. Now let's get back into the video. You may have seen this already, as it's been making the rounds not just on YouTube, but on mainstream media outlets over the past couple of weeks. And although the name of the mother and the child's face have already been put on blast, I don't want to further expose their identities, but rather focus on the mother's actions and what we can learn from this incident. So we're going to call her Jessica. Jessica has, or rather had, a YouTube channel of over 500,000 subscribers, and for a while now she'd been making family vlog style videos. In a recent one, the family puppy had just been diagnosed with an aggressive contagious disease called parvo. So there's Jessica with her 8-year-old son sitting in the car, being all emotional, talking about the puppy situation. The kid is crying, the mother seems to be crying. She says goodbye, covers the lens with her hand to signify the end of the video, and then accidentally leaves the video unedited for another 30 seconds.
Start as an emperor, what would you choose? Beautiful women or power?
Immediately, she drops the emotional act and proceeds to direct her son, telling him to look into the camera and act like he's crying.
I think that they're done. Only the roof is missing.
No, I know, but go like this for the video. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth. Let them see your mouth.
You can hear the child repeatedly telling her, "But mom, I am crying." Because of course, he's terrified for the puppy, and she completely ignores him, continuing to instruct him on how to hold his hand over his eyes to squeeze every drop of emotional reaction out of the people who will eventually click on the thumbnail. I can't even begin to imagine how traumatizing that is for this kid, especially when you think about the possibility that this may not be the first time something like this has happened. The video didn't stay up for long, as Jessica realized she had messed up and took it down within a few minutes. But the internet is not one to easily let things slide, and seeing the footage be re-uploaded countless times, Jessica jumped on camera to make an apology. Now this is where most channels started dogpiling and mustering a hate mob against her for making a horrible apology video. And I want to make it very clear, I do think her actions are absolutely reprehensible, and her follow-up video did not help her case at all. But I also think it's important to approach the subject from a wider perspective. It's not as simple as Jessica is a terrible person, let's bully her into deleting her social media, which by the way is what happened next. I think it's so important to try and understand her reasoning, not to excuse her actions, but to recognize the mechanisms that have led to her behaving in the way that she did. And by listening to her go on a podcast and talk about the incident from her perspective, her justifying thought pattern starts to emerge. Soon after she was cancelled, Jessica went on a podcast titled The Dad Challenge, where she spoke about everything that had happened.
I do believe in my heart that I have enough to offer as a woman without including my child in my content, and this is something even before yesterday's incident, genuinely, honestly, that I've been internally battling with. And my mom has talked to me recently a few times and said, hey, you really have to prioritize his mental health. But I have included him because I have him 24/7. My parents will have him on a weekend or whatever, but he's with me all the time. It's kind of hard to daily vlog without him and the puppy. I cannot just quit this job and do something else. Like, I have created this life for us, which I am innately so proud of.
I think it's so interesting to hear about her thought process and to see this internal conflict between knowing that she's navigating a dangerous line and yet continuing to do so because it's the option that's the most financially viable. And it makes me wonder how many of these family channels are weighing the same set of options but have not yet been exposed for crossing that line. And then there's the layers of justification that go into this type of lifestyle. Psychology research points to 6 common strategies that people use to justify unethical behavior, such as placing the actions in a morally gray area, believing the outcome will benefit others, highlighting one's own moral credentials, symbolical cleansing, partially coming clean, and finally, demonizing those who have done worse. And oddly enough, a lot of these points are reflected in Jessica's statements. She is, quote-unquote, proud of the life she's built for her and her son, pointing out how the YouTube money is helping the family situation. She's partially coming clean by stating that she's been thinking about not using her child in her videos for quite some time, though, again, she didn't really take action until she was aggressively called out. She's also resorting to demonizing those who have done worse by saying,
it was a terrible, terrible thing of me to fake my child making an emotional thumbnail, but someone telling me I'm doing child abuse when there's real people out there who are not feeding their kids and feeding their kids. Not only to me is offensive, it makes me incredibly emotional because I know how much I genuinely love my child.
Now, of course, there's levels to what looks like, but saying that emotional abuse doesn't count because other parents resort to physical abuse is a non-argument, and it falls exactly within the bounds of what researchers identify as self-justification.
He loves, like, he'll wake up and he'll be like, he'll build something, like a paper airplane, whatever, he'll be like, Mom, show him. Like, he knows we've built this community and he likes that, but there are times, I will admit, where he's over it, 100%, and that's just something I have to face. And I've asked him before, he is old enough now, he's fully conscious, he's 8, we had to talk about if he wants to be on camera anymore, and he's fully conscious of saying yes or no, but I'm aware that because he's not 18, it's ultimately the parent's choice.
Now, this last clip was probably the one that's most difficult for me to listen to because on one hand, you can't tell someone how to parent their kids. That's always going to be a losing battle. But to me, saying that a child is, and I quote, fully conscious at 8 years old, and the fact that he gets excited to share things with their audience not only does not justify family vlogging, but it proves the exact opposite. Of course he's going to be eager to show them his paper plane. It's that dopamine rush that even adults can't handle. Throwing that into the already complicated climate of a young developing mind is doing a type of damage that has not even been fully researched yet. And again, this is not just about Jessica. It's not about the one incident where she forced her child to cry for a thumbnail. I believe she isn't even fully aware of what she's putting her kid through, of the current culture on the internet. It's not the first controversy surrounding family vlogging, and it certainly won't be the last. Unfortunately, it's probably going to take years, if not decades, before we realize the harmful effects of practices that are so common right now you wouldn't even think to question them. Take the now infamous case of Christy, for example, where she was confronted by her 4th grade daughter to stop writing about her on her blog, to which the mother replied, and I quote, "That is not possible. I'm not done exploring my motherhood in my writing." The girl begged her mother to stop sharing her life and her pictures online, but because the parent has full discretion over what she can and can't do, the child is left with no other option than to wait until she will turn 18. In fact, another case from Austria shows how an 18-year-old
finished. I mean, the house is finished, but yeah. I think I reached the ceiling. I think I need to go higher than that. Want to play over.
girl appears to have sued her parents for posting pictures of her throughout the years, which she now sees as a breach of her privacy. It's obvious to me that this is a bubbling situation that will only continue to spread. And as outlandish as it may sound now for children to sue their parents, I think we're going to start seeing this happen more and more as the younger generation continues to grow up. If you haven't seen my previous video on why family content is dangerous, click up here to go more in depth on this topic. And if you have, let me know all of your thoughts on everything that we've discussed down below. What do you think is the solution to all of this? Because it's clear as daylight that it's a problem that continues to fester. Do you think it will ever become clear to family vloggers that it's not okay to prioritize content over their children's well-being? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
And now finally on the last think of the chapter 1
Sell online and
scams that are happening in the plain sight.
Over the past year or so, the entire crypto market has gone full sicko mode, and despite a several-month-long lull recently, it looks like the uptrend has resumed, continuing to draw in tons and tons of mostly inexperienced investors with the promise of going to bed a regular Joe and waking up a millionaire. Although there is, in my opinion, a lot of legitimacy to assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, even projects like CryptoPunks. Greed and FOMO tend to cloud people's judgment and get them overly excited for projects that are not yet at the point of adoption and utility the prices they're being quoted for suggest. To put it simply, blockchain technology has been in a continuous uptrend for over a decade now, but every 4 years or so, there is this inevitable cycle of an inflating bubble that gets people to throw money at literally any crypto project, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. Last cycle, it was Bitcoin. This time around, we see stuff like Save the Kids. If you are paying attention to the news about the project as it was happening a few months ago, it was like an intense true crime investigation, with plot twists coming out of nowhere, supposed bad guys turning out to be innocent, individuals that weren't even on the radar that turned out to be criminal masterminds, allegedly. All the while, this ambitious-sounding project named Save the Kids did not save one single...
STK. STK. Like, okay, like, why?
single kid whatsoever. So for those of you who didn't keep up with all the madness, I'm gonna attempt to synthesize everything into a short and concise video to document this insane scam that is sure to go down in YouTube history and possibly even lead to imprisonment for whoever proves to be the head of this outright evil operation. Before we get into it though, I want to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, NordVPN. Once again, a big thank you to NordVPN for continuing to support the channel. Now let's get back to the video. On June 2nd, 2021, a newly created Twitter account named Lucas Ewing posted their first tweet, consisting of nothing more than a hashtag mystery token. The following day, longtime FaZe Clan members Neekon, Tico, FaZe-K, and FaZe Jarvis all tweeted out about a new altcoin that was, and I quote, going to change a lot of lives. It's going to make a difference, and is something I truly believe can make a change. June 4th, the website SaveTheKids.io is launched, and the token now has a name and a logo. Anyone who knew a little bit about the charity landscape would have recognized the logo, the name, and the overall design of the website as being eerily similar to Save the Children, one of the longest running charity organizations in the world, founded over 100 years ago. And if these similarities didn't raise a red flag, the roster of so-called ambassadors was sure to do so, as Right Scum, notorious for his previous participation in other alleged scam websites, was featured front and center among the 4 FaZe Clan members. Furthermore, the roadmap for the token presented on the website spanned no more than a few weeks following the launch and ended with 2 to 4 weeks. Update roadmap, continue with marketing plan and promotions. That's like driving on a bridge that ends abruptly with a sign saying, "We plan to continue building this bridge soon. Trust us." And these are just red flags that might have been apparent right away. What was revealed after the token launched was straight up evil. According to Investopedia, a pump and dump is a manipulative scheme that attempts to boost the price of a stock or security through fake recommendations that are false, misleading, or greatly exaggerated, allowing the perpetrators to sell their positions after the hype has led to a higher share price. This, of course, is highly illegal on the stock market, but due to the lack of educated regulation in crypto, pump and dumps are very common in this space. And immediately after the Save the Kids token launched on June 5th, some of the ambassadors and early investors dumped their coins onto the fans who were either fooled into thinking they're helping a good cause, or newbie investors who thought they're early at buying into some greatly undervalued project. Now, at this point, it could have just looked like any other coin with a shaky start looking to find its footing on the free market, but a thorough investigation led by YouTubers CoffeeZilla and Some Ordinary Gamers pointed towards the high likelihood that there was deliberate fraud taking place behind the scenes. You see, the blockchain is a public ledger of everything that happens. Every transaction, every digital wallet, every interaction with a smart contract, they're all displayed in a public database for everyone to see. And after a thorough and lengthy investigation by the 2 YouTubers, it was discovered that FaZe-K not only was doing some very shady transactions with Save the Kids, but he had apparently been involved in other pump and dump schemes beforehand. By cross-referencing wallet addresses from his tweet replies, it was revealed that he had even held giveaways in the past, where the winners were in fact dummy accounts seemingly created by none other than K himself. If that is indeed true, then that is giveaway fraud, and it goes entirely against FTC regulations.
Buff is the gamer's loyalty app. It's all about playing games and getting rewards. You can get new skins.
As for Save the Kids, there was another aspect that caught people's attention, which was the so-called anti-whale mechanism, which, if you don't know, a whale is an individual who holds large amounts of a specific coin. This anti-whale mechanism essentially says that nobody who owns more than 20% of a token can sell before 24 hours have passed from the launch. The shocking clue that turned the investigation on its head was the fact that the anti-whale code was changed from 24 hours to just 1 minute. This proves without the shadow of a doubt that the individuals behind Save the Kids had the outright intention to dump their bags as soon as possible, going as far as to remove the very obstacle meant to protect the legitimacy of the project. Additionally, tweets about the launch started disappearing, and everyone who had put money into the project quickly realized they had been duped. Apart from RiceGum and the FaZe members involved in the scam, there was another FaZe Clan associate who appeared to be closely tied to Save the Kids. Jordan Galen, who had been with FaZe for almost 3 years, worked as a senior talent manager, establishing connections with influencers and brokering sponsorship deals. By all accounts, it appears that he used this position to independently reach out to creators and convince them to become so-called ambassadors for Save the Kids.
We're super excited to get started. Fraser's ready to kind of start formulating and drafting his tweets for tonight.
Now this negotiation goes on for a while of when these tweets are going out, but I noticed that Jordan Galen was doing bits of talking, and later the call is wrapped up rather strangely.
They start humming the Matthew McConaughey song from Wolf of Wall Street. If you're not familiar with the movie, the song essentially translates to, "We are scamming people and nobody is doing anything about it. Hooray for us." Once Save the Kids disintegrated, and with the backlash that followed on Twitter, particularly aimed at FaZe Clan, the organization reacted swiftly, suspending all of the members involved and entirely ousting K from the team. Jordan Galen also appears to have been fired, though his name is not mentioned anywhere in the statement. Now here's where things once again get interesting. K goes on to make multiple videos in response, not to take responsibility in any way, but instead to play the victim, pointing all of his fingers at Sam Pepper. Now if I were to go into Sam Pepper's history of alleged crypto scams and overall controversial behavior throughout the years, we'd probably be here for hours. And again, there's other people who've done deeper dives on this before. For the sake of keeping this video succinct, let's just say Sam Pepper is not someone you would generally trust with your brand. So it's that much more bizarre to see that he somehow made his way into becoming an essential part of the FaZe Clan entourage. What's interesting is that following CoffeeZilla's expose series on Save the Kids, both K and Sam Pepper started leaking details from behind the scenes, incriminating one another. The two of them essentially turning into the Spider-Man finger-pointing me. It was then revealed that Sam Pepper sold many of his possessions, including his Tesla, and has allegedly fled the United States, possibly to avoid repercussions. There's still many aspects of this entire thing that have remained a mystery. Lucas Ewing, the developer of the token, despite appearing to be a mere contractor in the beginning, has raised heavy question marks upon abruptly refusing to further cooperate. Jordan Galen's involvement remains fuzzy, as it is unclear whether he simply facilitated connections with influencers or played a bigger role in the conception of the project. The one person that has been entirely exonerated, and I think it's important to make a note of this, was FaZe Eco. His wallet address proves that he not only did not sell his Save the Kids tokens, but even bought more after the launch, which demonstrates that he genuinely believed that he was saving these mysterious kids. So you see, to this day, months after the situation has already died down, we still don't know who's primarily responsible for this giant scam. Will there be repercussions for the perpetrators? And will this have a ripple effect on how authorities view the crypto space, which already generates enough skepticism as it is? I think it's a shame to see stuff like this unfold, because there is genuine innovation happening in the crypto space at the moment, and scams like these put a stain on the entire industry that is very difficult to wash off. It is important to note, in my opinion, that crypto is not all about pump and dump schemes and getting rich quick and rocket ship emojis to the moon. While the louder projects are oftentimes sketchy, it's the silent ones that are slowly building the reality we will be living in the coming decades. Let's just hope that the crypto scams don't become prevalent enough to warrant an industry-wide crackdown that will stifle that innovation. But I'm curious what you guys think about everything that we've discussed in this video. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
And finally, Okay, so
Good.
if I now just like quickly make a yeah. If I make a quick conclusion, then I'd say please don't watch these types of channels. I'm actually searching for words now. And yeah, I think I ran out of words, like, because my memory, my internal storage filled up. Get it? Internal brain. Storage in your memory. place feel like that. So in conclusion, yeah, 78.
Welcome to the Video Ad Vault by TubeSift tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be
replay any. So this is how you can watch or replay any YouTube ad you see. The majority of YouTube ads are unlisted, which means you can't actually search for them. Every video on YouTube has a unique video ID, which is just a random string of letters and numbers after the V equals and before the and sign. This is the video ID of the actual video you're watching and not the ad itself. In order to find the ad's ID, you have to right click and go Stats for Nerds, and then this is the video ID of the ad itself. So in the search bar you have
Okay guys, so yeah, we'll see you a little bit later because now I on a hunt for ads. Bye.